Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. If you ever wondered what it's like to actually work with a coach, today you get to have a chance to listen to a coaching call. So I have a mama here that has 4 kiddos, and we did a coaching call. I posted on Instagram a while back. If whoever really needs a coaching call, we can set one up and we'll just record it. And the mama will remain anonymous, so we don't know who this is. You guys won't know, but you get to listen to what a coaching session is like. Obviously, this was kind of like, wasn't really organized, and it was more like we jumped from multiple different topics, but you get to kind of get a feel of what it's like to be coached by me and the things we talk about and the struggles that I can support you with. So here we go. All right. Well, I would love for you to share a little bit with me, just kind of like how many kids you have, where do you live, what your day-to-day looks like, so then we can kind of go from there and see which ways, how we can support you with that.
I am married, a mom to beautiful 4 kids. My husband, he just finished his PhD last month. So we had, you can say PhD was a baby as well for 6 years. He was doing communications, internet communications, security involved, a lot of stuff, and which goes over my head. And yes, so my eldest, I have 3 daughters, 1 son. A daughter she's 11 and a half. Then son, he's 9.5. Then I have daughter, she is 7. And my youngest, she is 19 months. My eldest, she is diagnosed with ADHD. And myself got diagnosed last year. We were trying to, get my diagnosis before I conceived my daughter. So we were ruling out it's anxiety. Let the anxiety come down, then we can really pursue what is it really ADHD or was it just my anxiety. But then we had to pause because I got pregnant and we had to wait, and then postpartum, skyrocketing everything. Too many things
Add a
happened.
pandemic in the mix.
And COVID. Absolutely. Everybody in the house. The moment when I found out that I'm expecting, I cried. And my husband was like, it's a blessing and, all that. And I was like, it's that dread that I'm running and somebody's pulling me from behind. It's going to be all over again. My day-to-day is, the mornings are the hardest. Not just for the kids. Over a period of time, I see now I'm dreading it and my alarms are going and I can't wake up. And the pressure, maybe I'm doing the same thing as I'm speaking. I'm realizing I'm giving myself 4 months and then everything will be back to normal. And it's like, that's the day everything is going to be okay. And my kids need to be going on the bus. I have made all those expectations of myself and that I should be doing this and I should be. And then when it doesn't happen, it's just everything goes to zero. So I'm trying to find a balance that, okay, if it didn't happen, now what can we do?
Do you wake up with your kids in the morning? Do you wake up a little bit before them? Like, what time do you get up? And do you just jump into your day? Do you have a moment to yourself?
Yeah, I did everything, all of those things. So I was the person waking up before kids. Then, slowly this day will start and then, kids would wake up, not so overwhelming. But then slowly by slowly, it took more effort, getting things done. And if I woke up late and I have to have this time span that I have to get my kids, ready and everything, and then
what time do you go to bed?
The stress of shutting down my brain and have to wake up early, I couldn't sleep. And it took me I was 2 a.m. I was awake.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. So one of the things I like to focus is what is one thing we can focus on that will be like a domino effect that will positively affect other things. So let's say if you are having a hard time shutting off your brain because of your overthinking or your anxiety or whatever, that will push you into having poor sleep. That will push you into feeling more tired, having a hard time getting up in the morning, and you're going to be more rushed and reactive mode. That's going to push you be more agitated and frustrated because you're rushing, right? That's going to push you into maybe yelling at your kids and raising your voice. And it's like a spiral that keeps going. And then you just feel like chaos throughout the day, right?
And failure.
So yes, and failure, right? So maybe if we go back to your night routine and be able to support you there, so you're actually calm and just centered and peaceful going to sleep, maybe that's going to help you get better night's sleep. You're going to be able to wake up more rested, and that's going to little by little affect all the other areas of your life. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So here's the thing. I'm not a sleep consultant or anything, but I do know several things that are really helpful. So here's a few things. I don't know if you practice any of them, but that can be really helpful that come to me right away. Shutting off your phone and not being on social media, which is hard. Believe me, I've been guilty there, especially right now with all the news and stuff, right? Not being on your phone, and set a boundary. It could be 9 p.m. if you're going to bed at 10, right? 9 p.m., it could be 8 p.m., whatever it is. There are apps there are settings that you can do to actually literally shut off the apps. like the app will shut down like at 9 p.m. or something.
There's
Like,
a barrier.
yes, there's a barrier. So it's like a reminder for you, right? Like a barrier. And creating like a night routine that supports you to literally just like calm your body, calm your nervous system. So for you to actually relax and get ready to sleep. Okay. There's a few things that can help you. You could take a hot shower. You can drink some hot tea. Like there's some like sleepy time tea or tea that's like super calming and relaxing. That is a possibility. When it comes to shutting off your brain, there's a few things that can be helpful for that. Journaling is extremely helpful. So writing down, literally it's called brain dumping. Everything that's going through your head. It could be your to-do list. It could be like you feeling right now, everything that's happening with Ukraine. It could be like the anxiety about that. Whatever is like, it could be conflict you had with your spouse that like is unresolved and you are feeling bitter, resentful, whatever. Like for me, writing stuff on paper is so helpful because it's out of my brain and on paper. I don't have to think about it and like relive it or whatever. Like I literally write it out on paper and I will be like, well, my husband said this and I said this and I think he's wrong. And I like literally, I say emotional vomiting. That's how I call it. I literally emotionally vomit on my journal. So then like my brain is just more relaxed. Like it's not keeping track of all those things when I'm going to bed. Another thing is like, so we don't have to do all of them. We can start out with one at a time, right? And so here's another thing is like people talk a lot about CBD oil. That is also like super calming. That can help you with better sleep. I'm not sure if you're still nursing, maybe I'd have to look into that, like if that is okay to take. And then I would also try actual like either meditation or visualizing with breath work. I mean, I use the combination of all of these things because you can turn on a meditation that talks about like being in a peaceful, calm place, which involves deep breathing. And so it's like using all three of them at the same time, right? And like it literally calms your body. You could be doing some stretching before bed, but having a night routine, maybe it could be half an hour, it could be an hour. I don't know what time your kids go to bed, but having a night routine that literally just calms your body and centers you. Reading a book is super good for your brain to like literally de-stress. So it could be a book that is fun and interesting that doesn't require a lot of brain work. That can be super helpful. So I'm just like throwing out some ideas and you tell me what kind of stands out to you that feels good to you. Like when you think about it, you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to try this. I think this will be really helpful.
Okay, so I wrote everything down and the thing is that I love that I have so many options. First thing is that I have so many options because if somebody gives me an option, there are like 1 and 2 and I'm like, so I have to choose. And then suddenly that's like a big, yeah, I'll do it. But I don't think so. But this thing is like, you know what, as I was writing these notes, I'm feeling like some days are different and you don't feel like doing journaling. Sometimes you want to do the meditation piece. And so I can pick and choose. And I love it. And definitely, you know, the night routine is one of the hardest thing it was somewhere I was stuck. And I didn't want to admit it. It was the time when kids would sleep. So my focus is 9 p.m. They would go to sleep, but it happens like 9:30 and, you know, but I would be like, now I can watch something. And I was like missing that time and I would waste my.
One of the things that I was listening to a podcast, and she's a mom who recently got diagnosed with ADHD. She's a business owner as well. And one of the things she mentioned, she's like, I have to have good sleep. If I don't get a good night's sleep, my ADHD symptoms are way, way worse throughout the day. And she does take some medications as well. And so, and then she does practices. She talks a lot about journaling, how insanely helpful it is for all that chaos that is happening in the brain, all the thoughts that are swirling. That is like her number one thing. And the other thing is sleep. So which kind of comes to the things that I mentioned to you, right? So that's what I think. I know for me,
I don't do well when I'm running on lack of sleep. I could do like a day of not such a great night of sleep, maybe two, but when it's more than that, it's like I am not my best self. And that's why I teach a lot about emotional regulation, because it's an actual thing that I struggle with. I get like easily overwhelmed. I get easily stressed. I struggle with impulse control, which is all those things. And that's why I teach this, because I have to live it and implement it. And I understand the struggle. I get it, right? And so for you, I think for us, the most helpful thing is for you is creating boundaries with your phone in the evening, decreasing some of that stimulation, because the blue light is going to create more. It creates more stress hormone in your brain, and then just like especially right now with all the news and stuff, that creates more anxiety. Your brain is like thinking about those things, like it just keeps going, and you'll wake up in the middle of the night thinking about it, and you get poor night of sleep. Okay, so I think creating a good solid night routine that will support you so you sleep better, it's going to help you with all the other things throughout the day. It will probably help you get up earlier in the mornings before your kids and get your day started a little bit before them, and because you got enough sleep, right? And so you're going to feel a little bit more rested. So I think that's like one of the things that I think will be really helpful. The other one, you mentioned that you want to set some healthy boundaries. Were you talking about with your kids specifically, or just like your home structure?
I think I need to have boundaries with everything. Like you said, boundaries with phone, it's a new term for me.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely with my spouse, my husband.
So the first thing with your phone, boundaries with your phone, which has been so transformative for me, being a person that easily gets distracted, you're going to love this. Turning off notifications. Turning off all notifications. So all the apps. So on my phone, on my home screen, I only have like a few things that pop up, and it's like take vitamins, and then my notification from like on the weekends. I try not to be too much on social media, but like I don't have anything. I don't have any message notifications here. I don't have any social media notifications here. And actually, when I even open my phone, the only notification I have is like my actual messages right here. And they don't even ding. You can choose, let's say your husband or your mom or someone that they're like, they can call you and they can be like an emergency contact or something. And like when my husband texts me, it makes a noise. When my mom texts me, it makes a noise. Everybody else, no noise at all. Nothing. Unless I open the app and I see like number 2 or 3, like somebody send me a message. And then I'm like, oh, if I'm ready, I'll look through it. My social media like has nothing. And I work on social media. It has no notification. So I only go on there when I am available. So it doesn't distract me throughout my day. Okay. So if I'm driving and I hear there's no notification. So your day will feel so much less chaotic when you turn off the notifications on your phone. So the only app is like that actually makes a noise for me is my Instant Cart, because I need to know when somebody started shopping for me, and if they like have some questions or whatever. That I think that's literally the only app that makes noise. And then when my husband texts me through regular message, and my mom, all the other apps, sometimes they don't. I even turned off, like there's no even the red like 1, 2, or 3. I'm like, yeah, most of them I have to go into the app, and it could be hours later, and I'm like, oh, somebody, because if it's an emergency, they're not going to message you. They will call you. They will call you. And my calls, I'll come in unless like right now I'm with you, and I will turn on my phone on silent, or I will put it on airplane mode because I'm working. And so I don't get distracted at all. Like nothing, unless like my husband will call me because he's an emergency contact and we'll go through. So that will be huge. Your mental chaos will be significantly reduced because you don't have those distractions pulling you throughout the day. You will feel a lot more present with your kids as well. because you don't hear all those dings, and you don't even see anything. You open your phone and you don't see all those things.
Yeah, it's like, come and see me.
Yes.
Open me.
Yes. So that will be really, really helpful for you. So that would be my recommendation for phone boundaries. If we're talking about with kids and boundaries with kids, let's say going to bed, or kids like respecting when you're working, that is something I'm still working on with my kids. But so I have a baby and a toddler with me throughout the day when I'm working. My older two are in school. And with my toddler, we have terms like mom is in work mode. So when mom is in work mode and cannot be interrupted, he gets to be on the tablet. That's just the easiest for me. I try to take the path of least resistance. When I am also in work mode in the afternoon and I don't have calls, but I'm in work mode, sometimes he'll take a bath. Sometimes he will just quietly play in his room. And I have one of these timers that you like turn, and it turns like red or something. And then like as it goes back, I'll show you later. I'll send you a picture. But they're like timers for toddlers. And so we can turn it on for 60 minutes and it's in his room and he sees the time go away, how much time he has left. But I'm like, okay, mama's in work mode and you get to play with whatever toys that you want to. But I'll usually start with him for like 5 minutes to initiate the play, because toddlers sometimes have a hard time starting playing.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, so that's kind of like what I do when it comes to boundaries with my son. So I'm like, okay, mama's going to be in work mode right now. You have 5 minutes to ask me whatever you need to. Do you need a snack? Do you need to have something to drink? Do you need to use the restroom? Because he still needs my help wiping his butt. But he's 4.5 right now. So that's kind of the age he's at. So that's kind of what I do when I'm like with my son, when I'm like, okay, I'm in work mode. I try to get stuff done, obviously, when my baby's napping. When it comes to like bedtime, we're still working on it. But with my kids, one of the things that's really helpful is having a timer that goes off at my phone. At like 7:30, I have a timer that rings. It says, get ready for bed. They tend to argue less with the timer because it's like not you saying it. It's like the timer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, we have to get ready for bed. And sometimes like having competition, who gets ready for bed faster. And I'm like, okay, if you want mommy to lay down with you for a little bit, you have to be in bed by 8:30. And then mama's going to lay down with you. And like, I can usually lay down with them, like check in with them. I'm like, okay, if you really want mama to lay down, whoever gets ready for bed first, I get to lay down with them first. And so then I will like, if I am doing well mentally myself that day, obviously sometimes we have hard days and we're just not available. We're just so checked out. But if it's a good day or a decent day, I will be like, okay, I'm going to lay down with you guys. And, whoever gets to bed quicker, I'll lay down with them. And then I'm like 9 o'clock, I'm off duty. That's it. Like, I'm done. No, like if they come out of bed, I'm like, nope, I'm not answering questions. That's a boundary. I love you, but I am done for the day. Like, I'm not answering questions. There's no snacks, like nothing. 9 o'clock, we're out. Like they can still have the lights on, like by their bed, and they can like play with their toys or read a book or something, but they're not allowed to come out of their bed. Obviously they still try. We just send them back to their room. They're like, nope, it's after 9 o'clock. Like we're done for the day. And so that's been kind of helpful with my kids. Sometimes they need something to do in their room because they get bored. Audiobooks help. Sometimes they play with Legos. My older one likes to read when like at nighttime to decompress at the end of the day. So just kind of finding what your kids like to do. Just sometimes they just come out because they're bored and they can't fall asleep yet. But I'm like, okay, that's fine that you're bored. Here's something to do, but you need to stay in your room. And so boundaries with spouse, it's like a whole nother conversation. I think that would take a very long time, but there's a lot of great books that teach on boundaries. I don't know if you ever came across the book Boundaries. It's called
books.
Yeah. So you can listen to audiobooks or, I don't know if you have time to read paper books, but I
love to.
You do?
Paper
okay.
books,
So
yeah.
paper books. So there's one that's called Boundaries in Marriage. When I first started going to therapy, the first book she recommended was Codependent No More, and then Boundaries in Marriage were the two books that she's like, and then it talks about having healthy boundaries in marriage. The authors are Christian based, but they do have a lot of really good information. So it's
Definitely. I love the faith. I mean, I find it's very similar, and I can connect more to if it's more like, faith based and more Christian.
Yeah. So the authors are really good. So those books have been so transformative. They have like Boundaries with Kids. They have basic book like Boundaries,
Awesome.
but the first one that came out was just Boundaries. But all of those books are so helpful, that were so transformative, because we oftentimes think of like boundaries are selfish. It's like, that's kind of like the mentality that a lot of us grew up in. We need to give and give and give and give without limits. That's like the right thing to do. That's like, the honorable thing to do. And then we end up giving out of empty, and we feel resentful and bitter. We're run down, we're overwhelmed, we're burnt out, and we're reactive. We're not even happy when we give. And so Boundaries is really, really good. So I would recommend that one specifically for like boundaries in marriage, because boundaries are not about controlling other people. Boundaries are about controlling
how to
yourself.
keep your own safe. Your space.
So one of the best analogies I found that was really, really good. Boundaries is like a screen door. You let the fresh air in and you keep the bugs out. So it's about you. It's like you can't change your spouse. You can't make them do anything. Realistically, if you try to control them, that creates even more frustration and stress. Absolutely. Right? But what you can do is boundaries, how you handle and respond, right? So for example, I cannot stop my son from disrespecting me, but what I can do is set a boundary and be like, I don't allow people to talk to me like that. So if you want to talk to me, I'm ready to talk to you, but it has to be respectful. I'll be waiting for you in another room. Or if your husband is like yelling at you, you can't make him stop yelling, but you'd be like, hey, I am more than ready to talk to you, but right now is not a good time because I'm emotionally charged. I don't want to say something I regret. If you keep yelling at me, I'm going to grab the car keys and go for a drive. Like, it's not about controlling him and stopping him. It's about protecting yourself. And it's about what you do, not about what they do, right? So it's really, really helpful.
If I'm trying to, create a boundary, and if I'm trying to give myself time, and like if I'm trying to work on my work, I would feel guilty. And it's like I'm doing something wrong. And if somebody is like coming on, like my kids are saying something, and I'll be like, so they do need my time. I was wrong about, doing this at this time, or I should be, again, the giving, what we have learned that if I'm not giving all the time, something's wrong happening. And I'm giving myself time or doing something. I have to be, I have to be mad, or I have to be angry that everybody would know, okay, she's mad, she's angry, so now she can have her time. Okay. So to understand that it's okay, that I'm enough, that what I'm doing. And definitely what I see when you said this tip about, I feel a lot like that with my kids also, when, trying to do peaceful parenting and doing a lot of unlearning what we have learned. No emotions allowed, only when you're happy, you're with us, you're sad, mad, angry, you go in your room, get yourself, get your together, and then come back. So to understand, I get uncomfortable. Okay, the kid is screaming, and either I am also screaming, and if I'm not, then I'm like, I'll be quiet. So what I'm doing a lot is that I don't really react, and I would just become quiet, and I'll just
you shut down.
Yes. And then because I don't want to do the same thing, what happened to me, and I don't want them to learn. And then I'm like, what do I do next? And then I'm lost, because all my energy was not to react. And I'm like, okay, I'm such a bad mother. They don't even know how to, when they are mad or angry, how to address that. Yeah. And then, but what I find this pattern, like you said, that I will lay with you. Because when we become one of that, giving, and then you're like, I'm already doing so much, and just eat food and just leave me alone. But they're still craving that connection. And okay, we have bad days. They can be 2-3 days, but 1 or 2 days can be some good days. So 1 or 2 days are also now subtracted, because we were in that cycle. Now 1-2 days which we can give is done. So like giving them this initiative, I'll be laying with, because they love it. So I know this is going to work like magic. And my kids, thank God, they tend to stay in their bed.
Good.
Very rarely they come out. Yeah, so getting them there is the hardest.
Yeah.
And then it's getting late, and sometimes I'll just skip the toothbrush, and then and then I'm becoming like, okay, just because putting them in bed was so hard, I had to skip few things. And if somebody remembered, good. If not, I'll be like, okay, let it go. But this initiative, I love it so much that I can't tell you. And I find a pattern that I can use in so many other places, that this can work.
Okay. So believing in yourself and like having mom guilt, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of mindset shifts that need to happen. So, and then you mentioned about like shutting down. I think like we've touched on a lot of things, and that's a lot. I'm trying to figure out which one to focus on. So believing in yourself is it's a mindset shift. And so, which involves a lot of times journaling and talking through why you feel mom guilt to begin with. It all comes back to like old beliefs, your family of origin, the way your mom was doing things, the way your, let's say, like aunts were doing things, the way like the society talks to us. It comes back to our beliefs. And so if we believe it's wrong for mom to work, and her, let's say it's a bad, like she's a bad mom because she's working and her attention's divided, then you're going to feel mom guilt. But if you...
And sorry, one more thing is that, and then we feel lonely, because if I call back to my mom and if I address this, she will tell me what she knows, and I'm going against it, and then I'll be the rebellious child or whatever,
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I don't want to spoil the relationship we have now. And I'm like, where do I go?
So I feel like changing. So like it would be like journaling. It'd be like, I wonder why I feel guilty when I work and, I don't give my full attention to my kids. It's like, for me, this is how I would journal. It's like, it's probably because my mom, she never worked. Let's say she was always available and present. And that's my definition of a good mom, and I want to change my definition. Yes. A good mom can have a job and like a side job that she enjoys. It is good for my kids to see that I do something for myself and I bring in some income for the family or whatever. Like it is a good thing, because when I do something I enjoy, I show up in a better way for my family. I don't resent my family and all their needs because I do something for myself. So you shift. You can write about it. You can speak to it to yourself, like looking in the mirror. I am a good mom, and it's good for me to work outside of being a stay-at-home mom. It fills my cup. It helps me thrive and show up as a better mom. Like you can choose what a good mom is. Like you don't have to follow your pattern of origin the way let's say your mom has been doing things, right?
Absolutely.
So like, so shifting your mindset and like going back to the core belief and doing like a counter affirmation, like counter from what your belief is. So if your belief is like a good mom is always present and she never works outside of the home, she's always available, like a counter belief is like, it's good for my kids to see that I'm a working mom, that I work part of the time and I bring in some income and I do something that I enjoy. Like, so you make an affirmation that's counter to what your old belief is, and something you repeat or journal or even say to yourself on a regular basis when you start feeling those guilty feelings. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
When it comes to, you were talking about like shutting down when you feel like it took you so much energy to stay calm and you shut down. So here's the thing. When we all have like three main parts of the brain when it comes to emotional regulation. So here's our frontal lobe right here. This is right now where you and I are in our frontal lobe. It's problem solving, logical thinking. It helps us make choices on our values. It's logical, it's mature. It doesn't get fully developed till your mid-20s. That's why kids are so immature and make silly choices that don't make no sense. So this is where we are in this part of the brain. When we feel triggered, when we feel overwhelmed, when feel out of control, we shift to our emotional part of the brain, which is a little bit further back over here. And that part of the brain is disrespectful. When we are in that part of the brain, it's so much harder to regulate our emotions, like to stay calm. We feel a lot more agitated, we feel a lot more frustrated, annoyed. You only see your perspective when you're in that part of the brain. So if you're having a conflict with your husband and you're emotionally charged, you only see your perspective. You don't see how he's right, you only see how you are right. Sometimes you come out disrespectful in your tone of voice, right? And so
facial expressions.
Yes. So it's kind of like in that moodiness, right? Let's call it that part of the brain. And it usually comes out all in our words and our attitudes. And then we have our survival part of the brain, which is back where our brainstem is. This is when babies are born, that is fully developed. And that is our fight, flight, or freeze. Okay. So when, let's say we feel some sort of attack, when something feels like too much, some people fight. They start to verbally fight. They start to physically fight, right? Because when they feel some sort of threat, it's fight mode. Some people freeze. They like shut down. They just like, they can't handle it. And like, sometimes people like get overwhelmed in a conversation and they literally just shut down. That would be like freeze. And some people like flee. They literally just walk away. Like, I'm not having any of this. I don't want to deal with it. I'm out of here. That's flee. Okay. Some of them is like this automatic comes from your family of origin. Some of it is just the way you are. Like, you don't really get to choose your automatic. Your automatic survival kind of like reaction, right? So with you, it could be just you freeze, you shut down, like, and that's because it takes so much energy to emotionally regulate. It becomes too much. It becomes like a threat to your brain and you freeze. And so how do we help ourselves get back to our thinking brain, which is the one that helps us kind of problem solve, make positive choices, kind of that part of the brain acts on our values. It helps us, like you and I are having a conversation, it helps us be understanding about our kids' feelings. That's why when you are, let's say your child is having a meltdown, you read all these stuff online about gentle parenting and your child is having a meltdown and you get triggered and everything you've learned is out the window. You literally cannot think anything, because when you are in your emotional or survival part of the brain, it literally shuts off your thinking brain. It just shuts it off. That's why you cannot remember any of the skills. It's not because you're a bad mom. It's because it literally shuts off. And if you're in your emotional part of the brain or your survival part of the brain, it's automatic reactions, that old pathways that have been there for years. So you're working against automatic reactions. So what do we do? What do we actually do? So here's the thing. We need to make sure our brain feels safe again in order for the thinking brain to turn back on. We need to send a safety signal to our brain. Okay. So when we experience a trigger or a threat, it will shift us to emotional or survival part of the brain, depending on how severe the trigger or the threat is. Let's say if your kid is trying to hit you or you're like, that's a threat to your brain. If your kid is being disrespectful, that's a threat. If someone's yelling, that's a threat. So it depends, like if it shifts you to emotional or survival part of the brain. And so we need to send a safety signal back to our brain. For some people, it's deep breathing. For some people, it's affirmations. For some people, like you have to walk away and like do visualization, like being in a calm place. Some people need to do like some sort of like either count backwards, like from 100, skipping by 2, because it forces that thinking brain to turn back on. That like sends a safety signal to your brain. So everybody's different. Some people need to pace. They need to walk away and like pace back and forth. So here's the thing. If at all possible, when you are triggered, when things feel really tense, if everyone is physically safe, if at all possible, it is really wise to walk away. Because if we stay in that stressful situation, if we stay in that trigger, it's going to make everything much harder for our brain. Okay? Our brain needs to have safety to calm down and turn back that thinking brain back on. Does that make sense? And so what I do with my kids, if like everything is okay, if nobody's like, hitting anybody or like the house is not on fire or whatever, sometimes I turn on cartoons for them if I actually need a break. And I'd be like, hey, I need to have a break. I feel like I'm about to blow up and I don't want to yell at anybody. For me, it's like verbally exploding and raising my voice. To you, it'd be shutting down, right? And you're like, I need a moment to myself. I need 10 minutes. Okay. So you can either give them something to do or you can turn on some cartoons, and I will walk away. I'll go to the bathroom. I'll go to my room, wherever I need to. And for me, if there's noise in the background, I sometimes plug my ears and I'll do some deep breathing and I'll say some affirmations or visualize myself in a calm place. That's what I need personally to calm my nervous system down. Everybody's a little different, so you have to kind of figure out what works for you. Sometimes I turn on meditation, like meditative music, which is super calming for me. And I literally picture myself on the beach. And if I'm like having a hard time, like the other day, I don't know if you watched my stories on Instagram yesterday, but I had a really hard time. And like on Saturday, I just broke down and I was crying and I sat down on the kitchen floor and I literally had to tell myself, I'm doing my best and that is enough. I'm doing my best and that is enough. I like kept repeating that. I'm a good mom who's having a hard time. I'm a good mom who's having a hard time. I got this. I can handle this. Like, so some positive affirmation that will allow your brain to feel safe. Because if you tell yourself, this is too much, I can't handle this is too hard, that puts your brain more into threat mode. That like supports your brain feeling threatened already versus sending a safety signal, because what you tell yourself will bring out what you feel, right? Your thoughts are going to bring out your feelings and your feelings are going to bring out your actions, right? So if you tell yourself, oh, I'm just not patient. Oh, I'm just like, I easily get triggered. Well, it might be true, but if you keep saying that out loud, then yeah. But if you tell yourself, I'm working on being more patient, I'm becoming a patient mom. This is hard, but I can do this. Like you're supporting yourself with your words, right? Like what we say to ourselves is so powerful. This was a lot. How do you feel about our conversation?
I love it, and I think it's going to help me parent my kids. My daughter, she struggles again, with the emotional thing, and I feel lost and I just feel bad, and that's it. I don't know what to do at that moment, and now I think I can feel that modeling and I can help her. We can even practice because we have worked on it, that there are a few things we, as a human, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, and that's fine. We're not going to bash ourselves or say bad things because we have these weaknesses. So we're going to work them and, make them into our strengths. So, but then I'm lost. What do I do? Because this emotional thing is where I really freeze.
Yeah,
So
and
this is going to be very
I'm glad
helpful.
that's helpful. And also with like kids with ADHD, what I've been learning so much about lately, so their frontal lobe, the one that helps them emotionally regulate and do like calm down, it's not, I think it's like either underdeveloped or, I mean, everybody's underdeveloped but they are even like, my toddler's making her laugh.
Awesome.
I have a laughing baby in the background, but that part of the brain is even slower developed than like an average child. So it's so much harder for them to control their impulses and their emotions and regulate their emotions. So when they have an emotion, it's so much bigger than other kids, and it takes them so much longer to ride the wave, which makes it even more challenging for you, right? If you have ADHD, you're even more like easily triggered. So it's like a cycle, right? And it takes so much energy to regulate yourself, stay calm, and like with them. So like being understanding and knowing is one thing, but actually doing it in the heat of the moment is so much harder. So like give yourself grace. If you mess up, if you have to walk away, and it's not about like, if you have to walk away, not to ignore your child, but because you're struggling and you don't want to get sucked into it, like over time, you're going to get more comfortable with their feelings, but it just takes so much practice. So give yourself grace. When we mess up, we all have hard days. Remind yourself, I'm a good mom who had a hard day. It makes sense. I had a lot on my plate. It makes sense that I lost it because all these things were happening. I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that was kind of eye-opening to some of the things. You got a little bit more.
It was.
As you're listening to this coaching call, and if you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is what I need help with, this resonates with me so much, I really need support. I'm so done struggling on my own and trying to do things on my own. I am sick and tired of feeling where I'm at. I am ready for change. I'm ready to take action. I deserve more than just survival mode. You can go in the show notes on the bottom over there. You can schedule through a link a free stress management call. If those times don't work out for you, I understand. Reach out to me via Instagram or email, also in the show notes, and we can figure out a time that works because I can be a little bit more flexible with my schedule. It's just I need to know ahead of time, right? So if this really resonates with you, take action. You don't have to silently struggle. You can do something about it, and I'm here to support you. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.